Earlier this season, I told you guys that there would be no shortage of storylines. And I was right. We've seen a resurgence from LeBron James, the king trying to take his throne back and prove everybody wrong in the process while claiming what's rightfully his. We've seen the fall of multiple dynasties, teams that have ran the league for years, starting to mail it in. We've seen young stars take monstrous leaps that we didn't even know were originally possible. It's always good to see the typical star still dominating the NBA, still doing things of historic nature. You may not like James Harden, but at the end of the day, he'll have his hands all over the record books. And don't get me started on Giannis and some of the other big name players. It's truly a special time in the NBA, and I think we need to recognize that. But of course, everything isn't always about the big stars and the already household names. It's always good to see somebody else coming up and doing their thing. After all, who doesn't love a good underdog story? At times, opportunity doesn't always present itself. It's not readily available, and when it knocks, you better be there to answer the door, because you don't know if it'll ever knock again. Coming into this season, the Charlotte Hornets seemed to be a team that would severely be lacking in identity, and the Hornets fans, they had a lot to deal with. They just lost their franchise cornerstone, Kemba Walker. We can look at Kemba's time in Charlotte from a statistical standpoint, but what he did for that team goes much further than that. Despite only appearing in the playoffs twice, Kemba has become iconic in the city of Charlotte. You see, the Hornets not being very good during Kemba's time wasn't Kemba's fault at all. As a matter of fact, you could say it was the opposite. I know I said that we wouldn't exactly take the statistical approach, but let's just say we did. Kemba was a consistent 20-point per game bucket during his time with the Charlotte Hornets. Consistently through Kemba's tenure, Hornets would kind of go as Kemba went, and he was the ultimate pro. He could have stopped and complained daily and demanded trades anytime, but Kemba wouldn't do that. Kemba actually wanted to stay with the Charlotte Hornets, despite only having 2 playoff appearances. We look at the Hornets' attempt to get help for Kemba during his time, and the results are less than optimal. Whether you want to name bad free agent signings, or you want to look at the terrible draft history that the Charlotte Hornets have put together, it's just not great. Last season, Kemba had his best work yet. He averaged 25 points a game on 43% from the field. He played at an elite level, and he forced the Hornets' hand. Kemba wanted to stay, and he even offered to take a pay cut. But GM Mitch Kupchak said, "We had great years with them, and we didn't get into the playoffs." What makes us think next year would be different? I'm sure it was a hard reality that Kemba had to face, but it presented him with new opportunity. He was now able to play for a winner. He was able to go to a team with some success, a team like the Boston Celtics. And with Terry Rozier signing a big deal with Charlotte, there was more than enough spot for opportunity on this Charlotte Hornets team. See, Kemba left a void that needed to be filled. Now, how it would be filled remains somewhat unknown. Devonte Graham took the challenge upon himself. After being a 4-year player at Kansas and seeing his numbers jump every season, you could see that this guy had the work ethic and had the drive to become better. But Devonte Graham isn't the only guy who's made a name for himself after staying 4 years in college. Your route doesn't always have to be conventional, as long as you get there. You know CJ McCollum, you know Damian Lillard, and now you know Devonte Graham. NBADraft.net compared Devonte Graham to Charlie Ward. They called him a crafty scorer possessing a high-quality outside jump shot. Graham shot 40% from deep as a senior and sported 3-point percentages over 40% for 3 of his 4 years at Kansas. He's shown the ability to shoot both off the dribble and as a spot-up shooter. Graham has consistently shown capability to extend his range well past the 3-point line. They said overall, he's an experienced point guard with a high-level shot. He can play on or off the ball and excels in pick-and-roll situations. They said he had a chance to stick with the team given the right opportunity, and I guess he did just that. This video, we're going to be talking about how Devonte Graham is playing at an all-star level and making a name for himself in the NBA. But before we get into that, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. You will not want to miss another Getlikecoop video. And that's facts. I'm trying to get to 200,000 subscribers to go full time, guys, and bring you guys daily content, so be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, guys, I need suggestions for videos down in the comments below. Let me know what videos you guys want to see. I appreciate the suggestions, guys. I definitely see most of your comments on your suggestions, and I do take them into account. If you guys could not tell by now, this weekend I will also be doing a video on trade rumors and possible big trades that can go down. Now, be sure to follow my IG, Getlikecoop. You guys will not want to miss another post. Devonte Graham will be drafted in the second round with the 34th overall pick. The Hornets like Graham so much that they took no chances. They decided to trade up. Sometimes all it takes is one team to believe in you, one team to truly see your potential. One major knock on Graham coming out of college was that he was an older player. He checked a lot of boxes that might actually surprise you, but the NBA has a love affair with players who are one and dones, and of course the younger players. They don't always recognize that just because you're 22, 23, that you still have potential. And I think it goes the same for a lot of fans. Just because you're at that age, that doesn't mean that you've reached your level. You can continue improving and taking leaps. It's kind of like how Memphis' Brandon Clark has been so good this season for them. He's truly been a very polished player, but a lot of teams, they may have not been interested in him because they didn't see him as having the potential possibly of a younger player. But I do get it. Sometimes you have to swing for the fences, and sometimes it works out, while other times it doesn't. One thing that has stood out to me with Devonte Graham is his ability to utilize the pick and roll. But not only that, it's his passing ability. When a lot of people see Devonte Graham, I think they see a lot of Kemba Walker, and I understand that because, I mean, you have the Charlotte Hornets and you have Devonte Graham, who's this prolific scorer from the three-point line, a guy with the ability to fill it up from anywhere and hit a tough shot like it's nobody's business. But I think Devonte Graham is a unique player, and I think that he should be in a league of his own. Not saying he's that much better than everybody, but just sometimes you have to respect players and their grind. Also, I think when people see Graham, they think of somebody that's maybe more of just a pure scorer. But again, the assists per game have been there. And if you go back to his college days, he averaged 7 assists per game, showing good jumps every season. Again, this is a reminder to never stop working on your game. You never know when your moment is going to come. NBADraft.net said at times at Kansas, Devonte Graham would be unselfish to a fault. A poor shooting start in games potentially means he will stop looking for his shot and instead look to distribute the ball instead. While this is unselfish, it often hurt the Jayhawks, who at times struggled to find scoring. Despite being one of the least efficient paint players this season, Devonte Graham has still been able to average a blazing 20 points per game for the Charlotte Hornets. As a matter of fact, since the NBA-ABA merger, his season-to-season scoring increase would be the 4th largest in NBA history, and he'd be passing Michael Jordan on that list. Devonte Graham has been playing at an all-star level this season, and if you don't believe me, you just really gotta watch this guy ball. He's been hitting tough three-pointers from any spot on the court, and I'm talking about three-pointers of just absolute ridiculous difficulty. He can destroy you off the bounce or in a catch-and-shoot situation. Devonte Graham is currently 67 of 156 on pull-ups. That's 43%. 67 pull-up threes puts him second in the NBA, behind only James Harden. And his 43% on pull-ups puts him first. On December 4th, Devonte Graham hit 10 threes. That put him only behind James Harden for most three-pointers made in a game this season. And in a league where everybody is currently shooting the three-pointer at not only ridiculous rates, but efficiency, that's an absurd stat. His 40-point game was amazing, and I thought it was symbolic that it was on the same night that Kemba dropped 44. But again, everybody knew where the ball was going in crunch time. Everybody knew that the ball was going to be in Devonte Graham's hands. But that doesn't mean they could stop it. Earlier this season, I talked about how Kemba playing with the Celtics would be so good because he's a player that demands a lot of gravity out of pick and roll situations. Well, so is Devonte Graham, When you have somebody that's that efficient shooting a pull-up three-pointer, you are honestly at their mercy. Devonte Graham is currently the 9th most efficient pick-and-roll ball handler in the NBA. His ability to shoot the three-pointer and shoot it this efficiently and hit the shots that he hits. You have to look at the quality of shots that he hits. They're not all spectacular shots. They are for him because he's so good, but this makes his entire team better. And also his potential as a passer is also something that's going to take him a long way. Batum said in ways he had to inherit the roles of 2 players, Tony Parker and Kemba Walker, and he's done a phenomenal job doing such. He also said that Graham is the player that he thinks spent the most time in the gym last season. And well, it's showing. I would have never guessed that Graham was somebody who averaged 4.7 points. Hopefully, this is just the start for Graham, who should for sure be an NBA All-Star this season. We've seen All-Star selections of players like Kyle Lowry, who have averaged under 15 points, and Oladipo, who also averaged under 20. While we know Oladipo brings a lot to the game, I just think Graham is very deserving. Let me know who your All-Stars are down in the comments below. Be sure to click the video on the screen, guys. It's me going over how Lonzo Ball can save his NBA career. Be sure to subscribe and turn notifications on. I'm D-Coop, and I'm out.